It sits between empires, a cold, gray expanse linking the Arctic to the Pacific. It is not the deepest ocean on Earth, nor the largest. Yet for 3 centuries, the Bering Sea has swallowed ships faster than nations can build them. To the uninitiated, it looks like a bridge, a narrow gap between Alaska and Siberia where the continents almost touch. But to the sailors, naval captains, and fishermen who work these waters, it is something else entirely, a trap. The danger here isn't just the cold, it is the deception. Conditions in the Bering Sea do not deteriorate gradually, they collapse. A ship can be floating in clear water at noon and encased in ice by sunset. Winds can shift from a breeze to a gale in the time it takes to eat a meal. And once a vessel is compromised, the geography of the region ensures that help is almost always too far away. From the wooden hulls of 19th century whalers to the steel hulls of modern destroyers, the pattern is identical. Technology changes. The outcome does not. To understand why this body of water kills with such consistency, you have to look past the surface. You have to understand the mechanics of the sea itself, how its shape, its depth, and its location combine to create a machine designed to break ships. The violence of the Bering Sea starts on the ocean floor. This is a massive basin, covering over 770,000 square miles. But it is schizophrenic. The southwestern half is deep, plunging 13,000 feet into the Bowers and Aleutian basins. But the northern half, the half that connects to the Arctic, sits on a shallow continental shelf. This transition is the trigger. When deep ocean swells from the Pacific roll north, they hit this shallow shelf, and they don't just slow down, they stand up. The energy has nowhere to go but up. In the Bering Sea, waves don't roll in long, rhythmic swells like they do in the open ocean. They rise steeply, stacking close together, breaking with the impact of a car crash. For a ship's captain, this means there is no rhythm to navigate. It is constant, jarring impact. In heavy weather, 30-foot waves strike with almost no separation between crests. And then there is the engine of the storms. The Bering Sea is the meeting point for 2 atmospheric heavyweights. You have bitter, dry air pouring off the Siberian tundra and the Arctic ice cap. Simultaneously, you have moisture-laden, warmer air drifting up from the Pacific. When these 2 fronts collide over the shallow water, they create bomb cyclones, storms that intensify with explosive speed. The pressure drops, the winds howl through the narrow gaps in the Aleutian Islands, and the sea turns white. But wind and waves are standard risks for any ocean. The Bering Sea has a third weapon, one that is far more insidious: the ice. Ice in the Bering Sea is not a static feature. It is a moving participant. It breathes. Every winter, the ice pack expands southward from the Arctic, covering thousands of miles. In the spring, it retreats, but it rarely retreats cleanly. It breaks into massive, drifting flows, fields of white rubble driven by wind and current. These flows can block a retreat route that was open only hours before. They can pin a ship against the shore or crush a hull simply by the weight of pressure. This isn't theoretical. The history of this sea is written in the logs of ships that underestimated this ice. The most catastrophic example occurred in 1871. It remains one of the greatest maritime disasters in American history, not because of the lives lost, but because of the sheer scale of the surrender. That summer, the American whaling fleet pushed north through the Bering Strait, chasing bowhead whales into the Arctic. There were 40 ships, the pride of New England, heavily built and crewed by experienced men. August began well. The weather held. The whales were plentiful. But the captains made a critical error. They trusted the wind. On August 29th, the wind shifted to the southwest. In the open ocean, a wind shift is an inconvenience. Here, it was a death sentence. The wind drove the polar pack ice toward the Alaskan coast. The open water, which had been miles wide, began to shrink to a narrow lane. The fleet was trapped. One sailor, William Williams, wrote about the ice with a sense of awe and horror. He described a power that moves without warning, sometimes slowly, sometimes with a force that nothing made by man can withstand. Within days, the ice began to claim them. The brig Comet was pinched between the grounded ice and the moving pack. It was crushed like a toy. Then the Roman, then the Awashanks. The captains realized they were fighting a losing battle. The ice wasn't just blocking them, it was hunting them. On September 14th, they made the unprecedented decision to abandon the entire fleet. More than 1,200 people, men, women, and children, climbed into small open whaleboats. They left behind 33 ships and millions of dollars in cargo. They rode 70 miles through freezing, ice-choked water to reach the few vessels that had remained outside the trap. Miraculously, every soul survived the evacuation, but the industry did not. The loss crippled American whaling. It proved that in the Bering Sea, experience is no shield. The ice does not care how skilled you are. It only cares about physics. 70 years later, the world was at war, and the Bering Sea became a battlefield. But the combatants quickly learned that the sea was more dangerous than the enemy. During World War II, the Aleutian Islands became a jagged front line between the United States and Japan. It was the 1,000-mile war, fought in fog so thick that lookouts couldn't see the bow of their own ship. In this theater, ships disappeared without a single shot being fired. Take the USS Grunion. In 1942, this American submarine was patrolling the Aleutians. It was a hunter-killer, successful in its early missions, but then it simply vanished. For decades, her fate was a mystery. It wasn't until nearly 60 years later that the wreck was found. The evidence suggests that while combat may have started the trouble, the environment finished it. In the freezing, turbulent waters, a damaged sub has no margin for error. A minor mechanical failure becomes fatal when the water temperature is 34 degrees. The Japanese Navy faced the same reality. Submarines like the I-9 and I-31 were lost not in glorious naval showdowns, but in the confused, freezing chaos of fog and high seas. War in the Bering Sea wasn't about strategy, it was about endurance. The commanders weren't just fighting each other, they were fighting the latitude. You might think that with modern radar, satellite imagery, and GPS, we have tamed this place. We have not. Today, the Bering Sea is one of the most productive fishing grounds on Earth. It is an industrial engine, pumping out billions of dollars in pollock, cod, and king crab. The ships are massive, steel fortresses equipped with the best technology money can buy, and they still sink. In 2014, the South Korean trawler Orong 501 was operating in the Bering Sea. It was a large vessel, fully crewed, but when a storm hit, the old enemies returned, icing and waves. Freezing spray is the silent killer of the modern era. When the air temperature drops below zero and the sea is churning, the spray from the waves freezes instantly when it hits the rigging. It coats the rails, the nets, and the cranes. Ice is heavy. As tons of white weight accumulate on the upper decks, the ship's center of gravity rises. It becomes top-heavy. All it takes is one sharp turn, one massive wave, and the ship rolls over. The Orong 501 went down. Only 7 of the 60 crew members survived. Help was too far away. The water was too cold. The technology was irrelevant. This is the enduring reality of the Bering Sea. It seduces us with its resources. The whales in the 1800s, the crab and fish today. It draws us in, but it never negotiates. And now the sea is changing again. The climate is shifting. The seasonal ice, which has defined the rhythm of this ocean for millennia, is becoming erratic. In some years, the ice arrives late. In others, it retreats early. This might sound like an advantage for shipping, but it is not. The ice acts as a lid on the ocean. When the ice is gone, the wind can transfer more energy into the water. Storms that were once dampened by the ice pack now rage across open water, building waves of unprecedented size. The unpredictable is becoming the new normal. The Bering Sea remains what it has always been, a place where the margin between life and death is measured in degrees of temperature and minutes of time. It is a place that demands respect and punishes arrogance. As we continue to push north, chasing fish and shipping routes into an opening Arctic, we would do well to remember the lessons of the whaling fleets and the lost submarines. You can map the bottom, you can predict the wind, you can build stronger hulls, but you can never trust the water. If you want to uncover more about the world's most dangerous frontiers and the history buried beneath them, make sure you're subscribed. There are more stories in the ice, and we're going to find them.